It is in your we have to repeat, we have interpretation in Spanish and French today, thanks to our colleagues Paul Marie from Benin and Luana from Argentina. They are making sure that the call is accessible to as many members as possible. If you are a French speaker, choose French. If you're a Spanish speaker, choose Spanish on the interpretation button. And if you are an English speaker, this is very important, please choose English. We want to ensure there is a smooth communication flow and our Francophone and Spanish-speaking colleagues do not feel constrained in any way. So they will be speaking in their own languages. And if we choose the English channel, we will be able to hear the interpretation. It's very exciting to be here today. This is our last global call of the year. And it's exciting because this has been such a remarkable year. In a year when the world around us is literally burning and going up in flames, in a year when there is so much of violence, disasters, so much of distrust, so much of fear, so much of insecurity, everything that's potentially going wrong in many ways happening in the world around us, for me, MCLD, this community, has really been that one ray of hope, has really been what enables me to get up in the mornings and be like, yes, there is hope. We can do things. We can change things. And things can be better. And so really today's call is about celebrating this community, is celebrating all that has happened in the last year, because so much has happened. And when we talk about it together, you will just see how much we have to celebrate, because with everything going around, happening around us, in the countries we are in the communities that we work in, and globally, with everything that's been going on, it is so remarkable what each one of you has been able to do to, in the individual areas of work where you are in, but collectively here in the space of MCLD. So really today's call is about celebrating each one of our members. It's about celebrating our collective strength. And it's about celebrating the fact that at the beginning of this year, we were recognized as one of the organizations to look out for that can transform the system, and how far we have come in that. So thank you everyone for joining us. We normally start with a very quick introduction to MCLD. If you go to the next slide, I know that most people here today are our community, so you need no introduction to MCLD, but we will still do it in case we have somebody who's new or somebody who is just learning who MCLD is. So we at MCLD describe ourselves as a majority world-led network of networks. We are a group of over 2,000 local and community-based organizations from around the world, along with INGO allies who are committed to putting people front and center in development. Our goal is to ensure that every person has a voice and choice in decisions that affect their lives, right? We were launched in 2015 at the Sustainable Development Goals Summit in New York. We started in Malawi in 2015, and we were formally launched at the Sustainable Development Goals Summit at the UN General Assembly in 2015. And since then, we've come a very long way. We are present in over 19 countries in the form of national associations who really are the heart and soul of our movement. They are self-organized, self-directed, self-governed groups of local organizations, sometimes with INGO country offices, sometimes with academics, sometimes with local government and other champions of CLD. And as of this year, and the reason this year is so important, and we'll talk about this as we move forward, MCLD became a fully independent entity. Till last year, the Hunger Project, an INGO, was hosting our secretariat. As of this year, January 1st, we began this exciting journey in our new structure when we are fully independent. And this year has been not just about transforming the world, it's been about transforming ourselves and making sure that we become what we envisioned we would be starting 2022 when we began the process of thinking about what should MCLD look like going forward. So thank you everyone for being with us today. I know we are all very busy and I know everybody has so much going on, but it is so critical at times like this when it seems like nothing is going right in the world. It is so critical to come together to celebrate what we have together here and how much we have achieved in this collective space that we have all created and that all of us continue to hold together. So before we get into it, the last thing I want to say is really thank you for showing up. Thank you for being there. And thank you for your commitment. That is what we celebrate today. Let's move on, Sarah. So everybody should be knowing the goals of MCLD. We are in the strategic planning process right now. And sorry, I tend to speak very fast and I forget we have interpreters. So apologies. But with 5 goals of MCLD, a lot has changed within MCLD. But what hasn't changed in all of this time is our goals and our commitment. A commitment to inclusion, to ensuring voice and agency for women, youth, people with disabilities, and historically marginalized communities. Ensuring adequate community finance. Next slide, please. Ensuring good local governance, quality public services, and resilience. If we go to the next slide, many of you, if you've been part of MCLD's calls this year, this is something which is very familiar to you, our theory of change. The national associations, who are our heart and soul, the founding blocks of MCLD, have 2 kinds of partnerships at the country level. The advocacy partnerships, where they promote devolution, decentralization, where they speak for and stand up for civic space and human rights. And then the facilitation partnerships, where they work with communities to ensure that communities are able to exercise their agency to bring about the change that they want to see in their lives, right? And when these 2 things happen together, we believe that we will attain the Sustainable Development Goals. And around all of this apparatus is a whole apparatus of members, of Global Secretariat people, of people in our Global Assembly who work together to support the national associations and to support this work. Next slide. So this is really where we wanted to just now delve right into the celebration. We're going to do a couple of things today. We are going to look at what we want to each celebrate individually in the work that we do in our organizations, and then as MCLD, right? But we are also going to share out some of our key achievements because there have been really, really so much that we have managed to do this year. So it's going to be a mix of, today's call is going to be a mix of small conversations between us in breakout rooms, and then plenary sessions where we are sharing out some big news, which I almost feel like I know I have to wait for this, Sarah, but I can't. So one of our big achievements for this year that we will talk about shortly. But before that, we are going to go into breakout groups. We'll do 2 rounds of breakout groups. You'll have 5 minutes. These are small breakout groups, I believe 3 to 4 people, Sarah, right? So we'll have 2 rapid rounds of this where we will talk about between ourselves, just what is it that you want to celebrate about yourself and your work in this year? Personal, professional, whatever it is, but we're talking about the thing that you would like to celebrate most. We're not talking of MCLD yet. We'll come to that. But this is about your work every day, what you do. So Sarah, if you're ready, let's go to the breakouts. Thank you. We'll see everybody back after 2 rounds. Sarah, you'll change us, right? You'll switch the groups? Okay, thank you.
I think so. That should work.
I hope we we had a little bit of time to just sit with each other, get to know each other, and celebrate each other's wins this year because they are so important. And there have been so many of them. I heard from colleagues from Nigeria, from Uganda, from Kenya, talking about the different wins, Liberia in my breakout. And I hope others had a chance too to celebrate with your colleagues from different parts of the world the wins. All right, so now we are going to move ahead. What we're going to do is, like I said, today's meeting is a little bit of mix. So we're now going to hear from our different regional coordinators and national coordinators about some of the wins they would like to celebrate very briefly, just so that we all can see how much has happened this year. So if we go to the next slide, I think I'm handing over to you, Pascal.
Yeah, thank you, Gunjan. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be in this place, in this event, to celebrate the 2024 achievement. Talking about the West Africa region, we have 5 registered national associations. Those national associations, as you can see, are Benin, Liberia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Togo. And we have funding for 2 national associations, Benin and microgrant for Nigeria. We have organized the CLD workshop in person in Benin, and I will come later on to that to talk about that one. And first all, team meeting in August and strategic planning with all national association in person. Let me talk a little bit more about the first all-team meeting in August. It was a really exciting one. You could imagine. It was about a training of a team of trainers with the support of the Global Secretariat of the MCLD under the leadership and facilitation of the Global Secretary and Executive Director of MCLD. I mentioned Gunjan Veda. It was, as mentioned, in-person meeting with the attendance of 27 persons, including 20 people, 20 persons coming from 10 countries from West Africa. One, we have the participation of the National Coordinator of Uganda and 5 other Global Secretariat staff, Steve Serra, Yeo Luana, and myself. The training include the room session where meaning making. We have focused on meaning making of the tool, and that was translated in sketch, spontaneously prepared and powerfully presented and received with round claps, meaning acknowledgement and congratulations. The content includes what we did in room session, but it includes also the visit on the ground where we have the opportunity to practice the tool. In total, I would say that the training was very valuable one in terms of learning and practicing the tool. It was so rich in terms of allowing us to come together and knowing more each other and facilitate and feeling to what extent we are bound by the same commitment, the sense of solidarity. And please, as we are celebrating, I would mention some memorable souvenirs that we had while we were in that session. The statue of the Amazon. We have the gratify wall, and we have also the jar with holes, which appeals to common efforts, commitment, and solidarity to plug the hole of the jar so that it can contain water. So that is about the training in Cotonou. But we have the opportunity by that time to start the first step of the strategic planning exercises. And we were supported for that exercise by the Global Secretariat and the Executive Director, our colleague Gunjan Veda. We did it on the 8th of October, and we developed the foundational basis for the CLD Benin strategic plan. But if I have 2 minutes, I would celebrate particularly the youth involvement to move one step further. Please remember that the launch of the CLD was with the mobilization of youth. And after that, the second step was the creation, the registration of a platform of youth. And from that platform, we have some CLD champions, and some of them are on this call. The third step that I'm very pleased to share is the involvement of youth after the celebration, the commitment of youth after the celebration of the International Volunteer Day. That was the 5 December this month. And we have more than 400 students participating in that celebration. And after that celebration, we have a commitment of youth to create a youth platform to support MCLD in West Africa. Thank you so much. I could share more, and please, Gunjan, I will stop there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pascal. And yes, thank you for sharing the highlights for West Africa and just also the special moments we all had together, not just as a team, but with all our coordinators, the larger MCLD family meeting it for the first time. So thank you,
Please, Gunjan.
Pascal, for sharing.
Yeah, I was afraid that I exceeded time. That's why I cut it there. I will have more to share. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. We do want to keep this quick because we want to actually come back to everybody on the call and hear from him.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to move to Yevo. Is Yevo on the call? I know she was having connectivity issues. Yes, Yevo, you need to unmute.
Thank you, Gunjan. So from Southern Africa, one of our highlights was the consultation that we hosted in Malawi with USID, but also a pool of community-based and local organizations. So we had a diverse pool of these organizations working across the country, the 28 districts. So we had representation of almost 40 local organizations who directly engaged the USID mission on localization. It was a very good discussion. And we had, as you can see on the pictures, we had a fireside chat where the mission director was there to hear more insights from the CBOs and local civil society organizations. Some of the key issues that were coming out was the limited involvement of community-based organizations, but also the gap that comes in the designing of programs by the funders. So I was excited to see community-based organizations sharing with the mission to say there's need to have engagement with CBOs and local civil society organizations right at the inception stage of designing co-creation of ideas. They should be meaningfully involved, but also taking up the human-centered design in programming and local development. So this was really a key highlight for us. Thank you so much, Kunjan. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Yevo. And again, we are only highlighting a few things here because we have a lot with different associations. But thank you for sharing the highlights, Yevo. Okay, next, I think we are going to Latin America and Caribbean, where we actually have two of our members who are going to be sharing the highlights. Paula? Is it?
Saludos. Hola, buenos días para todos y todas. Saludos. Vamos a presentar las novedades del movimiento en América Latina.
Sorry, Paula, one second. Luana, can you please switch so that we can hear you in the English channel, the translation?
Bueno, 11 miembros en la región, más amigos. Es uno de los primeros de los ítems. La celebración de 3 reuniones regionales de América Latina y el Caribe. Empezando a dar, y según tercer ítem, empezando a dar formas al movimiento de la región e identificar los temas y las prioridades claves en el movimiento para América Latina que se está presentando ahora. Pasamos con nuestro compañero Edgardo, que va a manifestar los otros 4 puntos.
Bueno, tenemos 2 reuniones con 15 organizaciones en Honduras, 2 reuniones con 30 organizaciones en Colombia, visita a organizaciones en Cali, Colombia, en persona, en presencial, visita y primera llamada global, puramente en español, el liderazgo inclusivo el 30 de octubre y preparando una capacitación en la herramienta sobre desarrollo para febrero 2025. Siguiente.
En la segunda imagen, como pueden observar, después de decisorio, que la organización salió en el New Lender, la organización participó con otras organizaciones y que tenemos presencia en 11 países de la región que se pueden apreciar en el mapa y que se sigue trabajando y construyendo para que otros países ingresen en toda Latinoamérica y también van a ser otros espacios de otras organizaciones en el Caribe también que quieren participar. Ahora seguimos trabajando e incluyendo muchos temas importantes que nos permite el movimiento, como es la juntanza y entretejer la palabra, entre todos con una unión y vamos hacia un mismo rumbo. Muchas gracias y seguimos ahora con África Oriental.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Paula and Edgardo. And again, this is remarkable because I want to just highlight for everyone that till the beginning of this year, our focus has primarily been on Africa. And so you'll see that our national associations have primarily been in Africa. And this year, we were able to expand our team. We were able to bring in Yevo, the Southern Africa coordinator, Luana, the Latin America and Caribbean coordinator, and you'll meet other members of the team who joined us this year. And with that, we have very rapidly been able to not just ensure Spanish translation for all our key calls and documents, inclusion. We had our first calls with Portuguese interpretation this year. And we have been able to really grow our presence in the region and to respond to the demand which had been there for a few years, but which we hadn't been able to meet because we didn't have somebody dedicated. So that's why this is a huge milestone
Gracias a
for us.
ustedes.
Thank you, Paula. Okay, and now we go to East Africa. Steve?
Sure. Hello, colleagues. So I'll start with Kenya and then I'll move to the regional updates. So for Kenya, we have been focusing on strengthening devolution. And in that regard, we have been doing a lot of work in working with a number of county governments that have been listed there to develop and review public participation policies. Currently, this year, we are working with Makueni to review their existing public participation policy. And this year into next year, we'll be supporting Taita Taveta County government to do their policy as well. Of course, you know, last year we launched the School for Devolution and CLD, community-led development, and we have picked some lessons from the first training that we delivered last year in the first cohort, and we are working with the county government of Makueni to onboard the subsequent cohorts. Key events for us has been the localization and decentralization conference that was held this year in May in Nairobi, where we were able to participate and encourage governments from across Africa and other actors on why the need to integrate CLD in their policy formulations. Of course, we've continued with our work on CSOs in terms of capacity building and advocacy. And maybe I should also mention under the key events, we are also involved in the design of the Africa Gender Index report that was launched on November 1st in Addis Ababa. So this is a report that gives the current status of gender issues in Africa. I could share that link later. Maybe to the next slide, if you don't mind. And it's been a very exciting year for the region with expansion in Burundi and Rwanda. We have MCLD associations there that are under formation and have been really doing fantastic work in terms of mobilizing members and preaching the MCLD gospel there. Fundraising, we're excited to say that we actually submitted our first regional proposal to Robert Carr Fund that was looking at looking at addressing HIV issues, but integrating CLD approaches to it. So we are yet to get feedback from them, but for us, what's exciting is you are able to do a complete proposal and submit it as a region. So that is very exciting, and fundraising remains our continuous agenda as a region. I think that's pretty much it. Thanks. Over.
Thanks, Steve. And now we are going to move to Uganda. Joanna.
Thank you, Gunjan. We had a lot going on this year, but we can only pick out one since we are limited with time. We had a partnership that we established. We didn't establish; it was established by MCLD overall, working in partnership with Peace Direct. We got funding from the Conrad N. Hilton Foundation, and with that, we were able to implement the USAID Influencing Project. And this happened in July, where we organized an in-person consultation, bringing together a total of 59 stakeholders to come in together, particularly CBOs, that is community-based organizations from the different regions of the country. Our focus areas were three. We focused on policy, ensuring that local voices influence policy. We've looked at practice, translating values into actionable practices. We also looked at solidarity, building unified front to transform the system. And the most significant aspect is that we were able to bridge the communication gap between local CSOs and USAID, allowing participants to ask questions directly, seek clarification, and feedback being provided immediately, which is unusual. We also were able to provide a platform where CBOs could directly engage with the key development partner, this is USAID, to discuss critical issues. This is unusual. So we set precedent, and I believe that we were the first. Of course, there's been no survey, but I believe that MCLD was the first to do that in this country. And USAID at the end of it acknowledged and committed to empower local actors. And they've continued to have road shows in that regard, speaking with local organizations. And they reach out to MCLD to ask us for our members to be part of these roadshows so that they can speak and hear from them and also be examples to other local organizations. They also committed to continue with the strengthening of local systems and ensuring responsiveness to community needs. As MCLD in Uganda, one of our taglines, actually this is not one of them, but our key tagline is that communities are primary drivers of change, and we urge investment in communities. So this is what we continue to promote, and that is what will be continued come 2025. Thank you so much. Back to you, Gudrun.
Oh, thank you, Joanna. So this was just a very brief snapshot of, some of the things we've been able to achieve together in different countries, in different regions, and how much we have going on. Now we're going to have a part 2 of that, but before that, we want to come back to everybody who is here to think about what is it that you would each, we are all here, we are part of either MCLD national associations, we are part of the global, meetings that we are all together and we work together in. So think about what is it that you would like to celebrate about your national association or about MCLD or the work we've been doing together. And we would love to hear that and see that and collectively celebrate that. So we started by celebrating ourselves as individuals and our organizations, and now we want to celebrate the work we do together as MCLD. So there is a link. I think Sarah has put a link in the chat box. Please click on that link and you should be able to go to the mural. Sarah, if you share the mural screen, to be able to put it in Spanish, French, English, any of the 3 languages. It's perfectly okay. Use the language you're most comfortable in. And if you're not able to post on it, put it in the chat here and we will post it for you. But this is our collective celebration board. So we'll just give everybody a few minutes to put this out and to put what is it that we want to celebrate. Remember, this time it is in the context of MCLD. If you have trouble typing, entering, you can do so in the chat. Okay, I see working on gender issues. Promoting our own stories. Growth and expansion. Joining the PSCN network in Nigeria. Registration of the association. Yes, that is something actually many of our associations formally registered this year. We now have 10 registered national associations, and that's a huge milestone. Stewarding the grant money. Yes, we were also able to ensure that 6 national associations got grants or mini grants this year. And in fact, at least 2 of our national associations got over 100,000 this year to be able to facilitate some of the work. So yes. Membership growth. Absolutely. Associations have been growing. Partnerships created and opportunities for networking. Registering our association this year, yes. I want to celebrate MCLD because it gives a voice to the voiceless. Constructing a movement, social movement, a robust social movement and an association in Honduras. Absolutely. We are so celebrating our new members, our new countries which are coming in, whether it's Burundi, whether it's Rwanda, whether it's Colombia, Honduras. Creating, okay, Luana, I need your help. Creating un tejido social en conjunto. So, capacity strengthening through trainings, joining MCLD and being exposed to new techniques and community empowerment, creating social tissue together. Thank you, Luana. Yes, creating social tissue together, influencing funders, and we have been able to do that. And you'll hear from our colleagues actually after this mural just how much we've been able to do that. Okay, constructing social movements. I created that. I talked about that. I can't read the last one. The diffusion of, thankful for the diffusion of rights of children living in families, if I am not mistaken. Okay, great. We are going to please keep typing, but we really did want to have this collective board because we want to talk about, what all we've been able to do together. And I see more coming in. Strategic plan, creating a strategic plan together, lobbying USA to talk to local CSOs, providing a CSOs platform for CSOs to engage and share achievements and funding opportunities. Yes, all great wins for celebration. Registering our association this year in Argentina, creating a space for climate change and sustainability in Latin America. Oh, climate change and gender in Latin America. Okay, fantastic. Okay, Sarah, let's now move. Well, thank you. Keep writing. We'll keep seeing that. But we're now going to do one more round of quick shares about. So you heard some of the stuff that we achieved at the regional level and at the national level. And now we're going to share some of our big highlights, just globally, what we have been able to do together. And I am going to hand it over to my colleague, Kathy, in Nairobi, another one of our new team members this year. Kathy?
Thank you, Gunjan, and everyone else for the wonderful presentations. So we've been part of also a project called P by P, powered by the People Project. And right now, it's good to acknowledge that activists around the world are creating powerful change. However, many of their stories are often told by other people. Sometimes their stories are lost over time, or they're scattered across multiple platforms. And therefore, through this project, MCLD has been addressing this by creating a global repository where activists can document their stories in their own words, however they want it to look like. And so this is something that began a while back in Colombia, in Denmark, and movements highlighted that there's a critical gap where they lack secure, accessible places to preserve their experiences and also share them with each other. And sometimes many of the platforms that exist are often fragmented, region-specific, or too technical to be widely accessible. Sometimes the language is not accessible to us. And therefore, for us to create this repository, it's been a co-creation process where we've had extensive consultations with 240 participants from over 40 countries. And many of them confirmed that they do need to tell their stories authentically, but also preserve their stories. So this isn't just a technical platform, but it is a space where movements can control their own narratives, where stories that we preserve today hopefully will guide future generations, and where activists can find inspiration and strategies directly from others who've taken similar paths. So for this, we've had 3 virtual consultation processes, but we've also traveled across the globe to different countries within Africa and Asia, Southeast Asia, and we've visited Johannesburg, Nairobi. You saw the photo in Benin where for the first time MCLD staff got to meet together, but also interact with other activists. We've been to Uganda for these consultative processes, Colombia, Panama for Latin America, and Thailand and Ghana. And so we hope that next year you will join us for this wonderful journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And now we are moving to, is it Jean?
Good evening, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I have bad connectivity, so I won't put on my camera, but yeah. So we have continued to host multiple learning, capacity strengthening, and collaborative spaces per month, including the Unlearning Labs, currently focused on community-led monitoring and evaluation, our leadership development calls and global calls. We hosted 32 virtual events in 2024, with participants joining us from 125 countries. Our team also participated in several panels and events and co-hosted our own in-person discussion on accountability as a side event at the United Nations General Assembly in September this year. We have also shaped thought leadership through publications and podcasts. MCLD had the honor of being part of the groundbreaking publication in the Asia Pacific Journal of Evaluation, APGE. First time that we are aware of, a journal has recognized community ownership and authorship by featuring the SPPC as a co-author. SPPC is a mouthful, so I won't even try to pronounce it. Gunjan joined 2 podcasts as a guest speaker. Peace Directs, The Problem with Partnership, and Resilient Conversations podcast with Partners Global. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jean. And just to highlight, what was amazing about that article was that it was for the first time that the community was recognized as a first author in a journal article. And that was just remarkable, but that's also part of the journey that MCLD has been on this year, that many of you have been part of, on changing monitoring and evaluation practices and how they occur through our Unlearning Labs, through various presentations and global events that we've been doing, and through a specific project called LIFE, locally led development in fragile environments, which is taking place in Ethiopia and Bangladesh with the Hunger Project and World Vision teams, on how to make evaluations more community-led and how to actually do community-led development congruent monitoring and evaluation. Okay, and with that, I hand it to Sarah.
Yes. This year, our efforts in strengthening global solidarity, especially solidarity with majority world actors, has grown. And one of our most exciting achievements was the release of the guidance document on locally led development, which we co-facilitated with Peace Direct and Civicus. This document reflects the voices and insights of over 300 majority world actors who all contributed to shaping the key recommendations for international conveners on making events more inclusive. You can see the cover in 5 languages on your screen. The document builds on the momentum generated by a letter issued by majority world actors in November 2023 that was widely celebrated. The letter outlined 5 principles for conveners and funders committed to making dialogues and spaces more representative. And MCLD is really proud to have played a key role in facilitating the collaborative process around the guidance document. It's out now in Arabic, English, French, Spanish, and Swahili. And we're inviting organizations to download it, read it, and take action. And I believe I'm passing it now to Cassidy.
Yeah. So this year, MCLD was honored to receive the Commitment to Community Award at Roots of Development's 2024 annual DC event. We are grateful for both our partnership and the recognition of MCLD's work, and we are very proud to be recognized alongside other great organizations. Then also, as Gunjan mentioned at the start of the call, this year DevEx recognized MCLD as one of 24 global development organizations to watch in 2024, alongside organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Civicus, and others. DevEx cited our advocacy to give community organizations a seat at the table and our capacity to be an outspoken critic of the current system and simultaneously connect and support enough to work with that within that system. Those were two very great ways that we were acknowledged this year.
Thank you, team. And so as you can see that collectively, and this is, like I said, a very brief snapshot. When you see our newsletter next year, you will actually see a lot more of how much has happened in each country. And like I mentioned, we're talking of 19 countries here. Each country, apart from all the work at the global level to influence funders, to change policies, to shape policies, to change how these tables look together, that we've all been doing. But the remarkable thing to me, and the most remarkable thing, well, okay, no, this wasn't what I was going for as the most remarkable thing, though I do think this is pretty remarkable. But let's come back to this. Let's go to the next slide, please. The most remarkable thing for me is that everything that you saw happening, the 32 virtual events, the guidance document, all the stuff that happened in countries, the in-person events, the convenings, the policy changes that we were supporting, all of this happened as we internally were transforming. One of the goals we set for ourselves this year, as we stepped into our new structure, was to fully operationalize our structure as a movement organization. Now, what is that? It's a new term. It's a term that MCLD almost coined as we were going through that year of consultation with all our members on what should MCLD's new structure look like. And we said, look, we understand the benefits of an organizational structure, of a formal structure, and we want that, right? But at the same time, we also understand our biggest strength is that of a movement, is the values-based commitment of our members. It's the passion, it's the drive, it's the ability, the flexibility that comes with being a movement, the energy and dynamism that comes with it. And we don't want to lose that. So we want to create a structure that retains that energy, that dynamism, that passion, that commitment, that flexibility, and the horizontal leadership, because a movement, an organization can be run by 5 people. A movement cannot. A movement is only as good as its members, right? It is the members that make a movement. And that is MCLD's primary strength, and something that we wanted to retain this as we moved into our new structure. And I am so, so, so grateful for the team, for each one of you who is part of the Global Assembly, who is part of the national associations, who's part of the National Association boards, in actually spending so much time this year in making the structure a reality. Our Global Assembly met for the first time this year in July. And since then, and we have members from the Global Assembly here. Maybe we can switch to the French and this, yeah. We actually have members of the Global Assembly here. And just their commitment, to give you an example, one working group of the Global Assembly has actually been meeting regularly on Saturdays because they were so busy through the week and they recognize how important this work is. right? To actually put in place structures, to put in place policies for all of us so that we can work together collectively and we can be that vibrant space for collective action. So this new structure that you see on our board, on the screen here, we have actually operationalized it. We have all our members in countries where there are associations, in countries where there aren't associations. And then we have the national associations. And then we have the National Association coordinators and the steering committees, democratically elected boards and steering committees, right? Who, as we heard from some of the members, have been doing their own strategic planning, their own campaigns, work which is so significant given the context and the reality of the countries in which they operate. And then alongside that, sharing those insights with each other as we go along in this journey. And then we have the Global Assembly, which comprises of 2 members from every national association and regions which do not have national associations. This is our apex decision-making body. This is the body that decides who gets to call themselves MCLD and does not. This is the body that creates policies that affect all of us and that ratifies the strategic plan that we have all been doing. So in addition to this, we've been going through a process of strategic planning with as many of our members as we can bring into the process. So it's a year-long process. And the Global Assembly has been stepping in to support that work. So we have the Global Assembly, and even though it's very new, it is putting together all of this time, energy, and effort to make sure that we are a vibrant space and we remain true to our values. We have adopted in October this year a structure and values document. And Sarah, maybe if we can put that in the chat, the link, if we have it on the website, our values. And now we have actually put on paper all this that we have been standing for doing and our vision of what MCLD should look like. And we are so busy operationalizing that. And then we have the Global Secretariat, which, like I said, you saw my colleagues, Malawi, Uganda, Nairobi, Benin, Argentina, in DC, all over, who have been working so hard to make this all happen. But we are incredibly proud of the fact when DevEx wrote about us, when others have been talking about us, they've always been talking about how we are an experiment, we are an anomaly. The structure like ours does not exist. And yet we believe that somebody needs to bring about change. Transformation needs to start somewhere, and we have taken on that responsibility and the risk of doing that. And we have been successful. So we have fully stepped into our structure. And that to me is one of our biggest achievements of this year, that as we have worked so hard to transform the world around us, we have actually been transforming ourselves to be true to our values. Okay, the last thing I will say before we actually just listen to other voices is this. If we go to the book screen now, you can see this on the screen, but you can also see me madly waving 2 copies of a book. This is the journey we set out on 2 years ago. Elaine Pluta of Outreach International, one of our member organizations, and I was working together with so many of our members, CLD Benin, our national association, members from Uganda, members from Sierra Leone and other countries. And for the first time, we now actually have a volume that talks about how do you do community-led development? Because the question we constantly get asked is, great, how do we do it? Herein, there are the answers of how do you do it. Answers in the voices of the people who actually do this on a daily basis. So the remarkable thing about this book is that you'll notice it's been published by Routledge. Routledge is an academic publisher. It only publishes books by PhDs. So when we first had this discussion, they were like, well, are your authors all PhDs? And we said, of course they are PhDs. They are PhDs in life. They are PhDs in experience. They have PhDs in community-led development. They have PhDs in collective leadership and action. And that is the PhD that needs to be recognized above all else. And Routledge agreed. And so we actually have a volume which recognizes and celebrates the experience, the learning of all of these people who have PhDs in life and experience. And this just came out on 13th of December, so last Friday, as the year was ending. We will do a formal launch event next year virtually for everybody. We'll have a lot of these PhDs in life and experiences come and share the stories that are in the volume and from their work. But the other last thing I will say about this book is it's based on the 9 dimensions of community-led development that if you are part of the movement, you are familiar with, that our CLD assessment tool is based on. So I'll stop there. That was a lot, but that is how much we have all done together this year. I am now going to request if we take out the slideshow so that we can see each other, at least the people who are able to be on camera. You heard from all of us, but now please unmute, raise hands. We want to hear from you. What are some of the things you celebrate and want to share about from MCLD, from this whole journey, things that may have been left out from your region, from your everyday life? And then I'm going to request everybody to stay because what we are going to do at the end of this call is we are going to collectively, in our own languages, say and wish everybody a prosperous or New Year greetings for 2025, whatever that may look like. And we actually want to record that because that is our New Year card for everybody, our collective voice, because we are committed to making sure that our voices reach everyone and in our languages. So please do stay when we do that recording. But for now, unmute and share with us, what do you consider some of the biggest things, achievements, things you want to celebrate, which may or may not have featured here? And we can celebrate colleagues, we can celebrate members, we can celebrate work. We can celebrate any of these moments that bring us all together. Type, raise hands, unmute. Yes, Dr. Rebecca.
But I asked Barrister Mas Palma, is he here to state our celebration? Mas Palma?
Mas Palma, are you here?
Okay, maybe he's not, maybe he's in the court,
No, he had joined. He was in my breakout room, but he may have had connectivity issues.
Okay. We are very happy to, we did a lot of things in the community. And we discover there is a grant that was given to us, 5,000 grant. And with that grant, we added up to maybe triple it. And we discovered that in our community, there are a lot of malnourished children. And people are dying because of hunger. So we made local nutrition, we call it SAGDIC Nutritional Tom Brown. There is Tom Brown that we call it as nutritional food for malnourished children. So it helped a lot, but we are still observing. We take it for, we will observe for 3 months. But it was huge that people are really dying of hunger, and especially children. And also during the 16-day activism, we discover how many women and girls are really raped. In one organization only, SEPI, we discover over 100 people who are children who are raped. Even yesterday, there was a 7-year-old girl who was raped. So a lot of gender-based violence, a lot of things. And because of that, the UN recognized SACDIC, and they call us to strategic planning, 9 UN organizations, including 20 local organizations, but we were selected to participate and plan how Nigeria will fight against protection, against sexual abuse, and all this. So PSEA. So we are called by, the leader is from World Health Organization. So this is really big for us. So we are now member of how we will fight against sexual violence and abuse in Nigeria. So this is part of what we are really celebrating, to be recognized like that.
Thank you, Dr. Rebecca. And again, it is so heartwarming to actually hear individually how much the associations are doing and how they are addressing these really critical issues across sectors and areas. Tashome mentioned devolution for Ethiopia also in the chat. So thank you. I am actually going to come back and take hands, but I also realize we are losing some people. So our suggestion is let's do the Happy New Year recording first and then come back and hear more voices and more celebrations, if that's okay. So Sarah? If people are able to turn on cameras, please do. We understand many people are in places where it's not possible, bandwidth is an issue, and your voice is sufficient. I think what we may want to do is maybe if we do this by country, so that we can actually hear the voices. Is that you are just saying Happy New Year in your local language or greetings for 2025, whatever you want to say in your local language. And maybe we'll just do country-wise, and Sarah, then we can just edit to make it all one. Yeah. And if I miss any of your country, then please do say it. But I'm going to go in the order that I actually see on my screen right now. So I see Uganda first. So everybody from Uganda, if you want to unmute and say New Year's greetings in your language, recognizing there may be different languages, but it's okay. Ready?
Yes, I'm from Uganda.
Okay, go.
Awadi Hamid Hashim from Uganda. I wish you all a happy Merry Xmas and a happy New Year. Stay safe. Take care.
Awadi, that's not local language.
Yes, local. Okay, local language. People from Uganda together. I'll say 1, 2, 3, go. When I say go together, please, in whatever your local language is. 1, 2,
Mubere bulungi ba member MLCD. Bye.
That's a good one.
Okay. One more try for Uganda. Joanna, Florence, Jean, if you want to say, and then we'll go to the next country. Malawi, be ready. You're next. Go. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Malawi.
Okay. Mafuna bwino obida kwa Malawi tose amene tikuyembekezera kusanga nyengo ya Christmas. Mafuna bwino kuchokera kwa MCLD. Zikomo kwambiri.
Yes, chaka cha tsopano chabwino.
Awesome. Okay, Benny next. Benny, are you ready?
So we are, yes, we are.
Okay, go.
Ehoyo yuti me mi adu anyono mi kenken anyono mi boko mi adu sen akpo adu sen fili na ve me lo ndogbe no mi so be there. Wow.
Awesome. Togo. Delphina, you need to unmute.
Yeah. Epe ebe jogbenyuera milo la mese e ganeva nune jenuji mia yinkogwelo MCLD na olo.
Thank you, Delphina. That was beautiful. Okay, next we are going to Nigeria. Nigeria, are you ready?
1, 2, start. Barka da sabon shekara MCLD. Sannunku.
Fantastic. Kenya, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, go.
Okay, tawatakia sikukuu njema na mwaka wa 2025 ulio na fanaka.
Fantastic. Okay, do we still have Ethiopia? Okay, maybe I don't see Ethiopia here. Then I see India. Anima, do you want to unmute?
Abate is here for Ethiopia.
Okay, great. While Anim
I don't know why Gunjan missed Ethiopia here because we are here.
Sorry. Yes, Ethiopia. Let's go to Ethiopia first.
Yeah,
Ethiopia, go.
Yeah, welcome at this Ahmed. Happy New Year and fruitful year for MCLD. From Ahmed for MCLD.
Abate in Amharic. In Amharic.
Welcome at this Ahmed.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, which other country do we have here that I have missed out? Well, we have our Latin America friends. So, I think we have Colombia. Colombia, are you ready? Colombia.
¿Listo, Edgardo?
Ok, ¿me escuchan?
Jorgelina.
¿Me escuchan? Ok.
Ok.
Yamnias Bayaktan.
Please continue.
Bueno, feliz y próspero año nuevo 2025 desde Colombia y Latinoamérica.
Grazie. Okay, Liberia.
Yeah. Ebe a na-aba afọ ọhụrụ ka Chineke nyere onye ọbụla aka. MCLD afọ a ga-aba ka Chineke gozie unu niile akụ na ụba ruo anyị aka.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think if I'm not wrong, we have DRC also here. Do we have DRC? Anima, are you able to unmute India? I'll say it in Hindi then. Nai saal ki bahut bahut badhai.
Bahut.
Okay. Any other Latin American country here that we are missing? Luana, if you can put that in chat, which other? Yeah, we can repeat Latin America. There was a request to repeat Latin America because Edgardo's connection froze. Edgardo, do you want to go?
Yeah. Sí, sí.
Yeah.
Ok, gracias. Kuri bitik as bayak tanaw, muy bitik wahay kibalna. Pasen feliz año todos hermanos y hermanas desde Honduras. Un abrazo.
Fantastic. Thank you. If there is anybody, I'll come to the US now, but if there is anybody else whose country has not been called, then please, we'll come to you after US. Raise your hand or put it in the chat box. US.
Happy holidays and a blessed new year to everyone.
Amen. Happy holiday. I am also US.
That's right. You're a global leader, Rebecca.
Happy holidays to you too.
Fantastic. Did anybody get left out? If your country was left out, please unmute and say happy holidays or new year or whatever in your local language.
Desde Argentina.
Yes, Argentina.
Desde Argentina les deseamos feliz año nuevo para todos.
Thank you, Galina. All right, I do not see anyone else who is left out. Okay, we will use the last 5 minutes we have for anybody else who wants to put in any celebration. But thank you for saying that. It's going to be a very tough job for Sarah, I know, but we'll try and pick all of these voices that we have in different languages and try and put them so that the New Year's card from MCLD reflects all of our voices together. Okay, last few moments. Anybody wants to share anything that they want to celebrate this year?
I want
No?
to celebrate you.
Yeah.
I want to celebrate you for the good work you've done throughout this year. Blessings and more blessings for 2025.
Thank you so much, Carolina. Thank you. Okay, and then I see things coming up. Yes, Cassidy, celebrating people who've joined MCLD this year, new members, new associations, new staff. Yes, absolutely. And then everybody who has been with us throughout this journey also. So celebrating old and new together.
Hello.
Yeah, Axel.
Hello. Okay, thank you, Gunjan. I want to celebrate Mr. Pascal. And first, you, Gunjan, and third, Sarah, Kati, Madame Kati, Cassidy, and all MCLD members around the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Baranje. I also want to mention one more person I would like to add to the celebration list who has just started on maternity leave and so is not here with us right now, but has been so critical for us this year, Nelly. So just that she was not part of the team as we were talking about the achievements, but she was very much part of this journey and will be back next year in March. Yes, Dr. Rebecca, your new book, we all celebrate that. We bore the brunt. Dr. Rebecca's new book. All right. Anyone else? Anything else you want to celebrate before we all say goodbye, end this year on a high? Yes, Marius, you want to speak? Please unmute and speak.
Okay, me, I want to celebrate my integration on this MCLD. Thank you.
Fantastic. Great to have you join us. And then we heard celebrations of the Latin America members, of our translators, so important because they are the people who actually ensure that we are accessible to our members. So Paul and Luana, thank you so much. I see John being celebrated as the founder of MCLD, the Global Assembly members. celebrating the bond that keeps MCLD together. Thank you, Jude, for that. Is the book going to be published in Spanish? That's a great question, Edgardo. We're trying to figure out how to get French and Spanish translations for the book. It's a little tough when you go with a big publisher, but we are going to try our best to make sure language versions are available. And next year, we are going to make sure associations all have copies of the book. So it'll take a little bit of time, but we will make sure that every national association has these copies to take forward. Well, thank you, Marius.
Muchas gracias.
Just gracias. Okay, with that, I think we will officially close 2024 out. Again, really a big thank you to each one of you for being a part of MCLD. It is you who make MCLD what it is. It is you who ensure that we continue to transform the world. It is you that provide that beacon of hope for so many people in your communities, in the regions, in the countries, and globally. And it is your voice which is getting recognized. So thank you so much to each one of you and to all of us collectively for being here, for holding the space for each other, and for celebrating each other. I hope 2025 brings a lot of joy, peace, good health, and really strengthens our voice and agency and our effort to transform this world. Because I know with this community here and with all the other communities with whom we have been building these solidarity bridges, we can transform this world. We can make this world into a much better place than it is. And the last thing I will say, a New Year gift, hopefully, for all of us is that at MCLD, we have been able to put together a small micro-grant fund for every national association that is currently there, recognized and registered. We will be in touch and your regional coordinators will be in touch with you this year. This fund is so that we can start 2025 strong. This fund is so that in January next year, all of our national associations that exist can actually meet together in person, because these human bonds are so important. More than anything else, these relationships is what take us through the most difficult times. So this fund is for us to come together in person in January next year with your National Association members, have your annual general meeting, do your strategic planning, whatever it is that you will want to do, which is important, but a space to actually physically come together. So we hope that this will enable us to start 2025 with the same feeling of community and collective with which we are ending 2024. Thank you. We can all unmute and say bye together.
Goodbye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye. Próxima.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Happy New Year.
Every one of you, Happy New Year in advance. Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Chao, feliz año.
Bye. Happy New
Saludos.
Year to everyone. See you next year.
Bye.
Please
Thank you.
take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes, I'm happy
Hello, Mr. Pascal.
that Dr. Saidu is here. Dr. Saidu has really suffered this year. He lost a son who was very, very active in SAGDIC, and he was very, very sick. We even were scared that we would
Hey, Dr. Rebecca, how are you?
We thank God for Dr. Saidu.
Yeah, Dr. Saidu, thank you. We appreciate you joining
Hey,
us.
Magia, how are you?
Thank you for the concern and remember me in difficulties. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
How are you?
Bye.
Bye, Dr. Rebecca.
How are you?
Thank you, Gunjan. The MCLD assessment
Thank
tool
you.
really
Thank
helping
you.
our programming. You
No,
really
I'm
did
so
a good
glad.
job there. Yeah,
And I'm
you
glad we
really
could
did a
get the
good work.
funding to enable you to meet again in person.
Yeah, we really do hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Okay,
we will
thank
close
you.
the call now and see you all in 2025.
Yeah.
Wow. Bye.